You have to relax before you contract. And I see a lot of times in like these social media accounts that the person's like, oh, squeeze, always squeeze, 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 like walking around, squeeze, and engage your abs when you're walking around. And I mean, I think if it's a rehab situation, if you're trying to build that muscle again, perhaps that might be something you want to remind yourself to do throughout the day. But in order to build the most amount of muscle, the amount to get the most out of the muscle as well, you have to relax to contract. Something that's already contracted will have a hard time contracting further. But if you come a little bit, you stretch a little bit, you relax a little bit, you could contract more. And this full range of stretching and contracting is probably one of the most beneficial mechanisms to make the changes that you want to make. And there's a concept called fast and loose. And we use it in Strong First when, let's say you've done a set of some sort of a strength exercise and you've put a lot of effort into it, you contracted a lot of your body's muscles to create a stability, a foundation to be able to lift the weight, for example. And then in between, what you're looking to do is sort of shake it off, move around, jiggle, and walk around. And what you're trying to do is counterbalance all this tension that you've built up in your muscles. You're trying to relax them as much as possible. And your body's ability to relax and contract is one sign of a properly a fit body, let's say. But you need to be able to relax or stretch so that you can contract. Tight muscles that you walk around with that are already tight, have a hard time contracting. And that's why often what you're trying to do when you have tight muscles is contract the opposite muscle a little bit more often. You're trying to counterbalance it. So let's say if you're a forward flexed person, like many people are in society, what you're trying to do is do some exercises where you're doing the opposite to kind of lengthen you a little bit. But you have to relax before you contract. And maybe you're thinking physically relaxing the muscles before you start, and then you try to, with volition, contract as hard as you can. Once you master that ability to stretch and contract, you'll actually be able to get more results with less weight, with less tools. You can get more out of every exercise by internally focusing on contracting. But that will never happen if you're not relaxing first. And I'm hoping this is not too technical. For some people, this is exactly what you need to hear. And for some people, this is something you gotta like bookmark for later. But in order to contract and get the most out of contractions, you need to have already been relaxed. A contracted or a partially contracted muscle has a hard time contracting further. Overly stretched muscle, that's the same thing. We'll talk about that another day. But the point is that if you have a normally lengthened muscle, you need to stretch or relax before you contract. And sometimes that takes you mentally trying to tell your muscle to relax, shake it off, walk around, like I said, do that fast and loose technique. But if you want to get the most out of it, relax before you contract.